metaphysics and religion and philosophy, they all drive in the same carpool lane. They're very similar. It's a way of trying to find or make sense or of what we can't make sense of, basically. Metaphysics is a philosophy that sort of grasps for truth beyond the physical, beyond what we can see and sense. Does that make it true? We don't know. But the whole purpose of all of these inquiries is to give us peace on this plane now. And that's really the purpose. If you think of what religion is, it gives us comfort. Philosophies give us comfort. Metaphysics gives us comfort. It gives us answers to the questions that are unanswerable. And that's comforting. We come to religion, we come to places like this, and throughout time, we've come to try to figure out what is these mysteries of life? Why am I here? Is there meaning of purpose? Where do I go when I die? Is there a continuation of life? These are huge questions. These are questions that the trees don't ask, that the cat doesn't think about. But we do. And we worry about a future which is really held in imagination. And our reaching for a future and to try to put it in a box and to figure it out and to get certain about it is our suffering. We don't know what's happening in the moment, let alone why are we worried about the future? Not to say that we shouldn't. Of course we should. But to obsess about it, that's a different thing. So, I would say that metaphysics, philosophy, and religion are all about bringing comfort so that we're not anxious, so that we're not as afraid of living a robust, loving, engaged life. So, how do we find peace? And where do we find it? Well, we start at the beginning. We start with the basics. And what are the basics? Well, we start looking in books. We think that there is knowledge that's in the books, and so we start reading the books, and it sounds great. It sounds wonderful. And we go from book to book, and we get more information, and we become more knowledgeable, and this is good. It's comforting. It feels like I'm getting somewhere. I'm finally going to arrive at some place, and it feels great. I'm getting there. I can't wait. And so we read more, and we do classes, and it's comforting, and it feels good. And I have loved the journey. Every time, I simply love it. So, Master Basho said, "Do not follow in the footsteps of the Master, but seek what the Master sought." And what that tells me is, maybe we are to find our own paths, what is true for us, what is absolutely true for us. Not a thought, not something that is parroted back, some other person's philosophy. But what is true, and where do we find that truth? Well, that's pretty obvious. The only place we can find that truth is right here, in this room, in the seat that we're sitting in. It's the only place it is. It's not tomorrow. It's now. It's right now. We can't miss that sound. It's here. It's immediate. that is truth. It's the immediate moment that passes. To hold on to it, you can't do it. It's immediate. For the moment of now, there is no such thing as a moment of now. It's a continuous flow. And in this continuous flow, we miss the continuous flow. And we divide it up into moments. It's breakfast time, it's lunch, it's this. And that's great. We do that. And so, in essence, we divide everything up into moments, into segments. When life is continuous. And that's something that we miss. Just like we miss the importance of the space in this room. Without the space, there is no room. There's walls, but there's no, you've got to have the space. This. But we miss that because we look to form. When we go to a restaurant, we think about the menu. What's being offered here? And we look at the menu, looks good. Oh, I think I'll have some of this. I think I'll have it. And for the most part, when we come to philosophies, churches, religions, we're looking at the menu, what this particular philosophy is offering. And that's a good thing because we get an idea of what we're going to be, what the meal is going to be. But when does the meal come? When do we actually get a chance to sample the meal? What is the meal? Do we even know? What do we know about the phrase, the union and communion with God or the beloved? What does that mean? Is that even possible? It sounds like it. We talk about it. We teach it. But what could that possibly mean? If we're all one, then we're already in union and communion with the beloved now where we're sitting in these chairs. There is no you and the beloved. There's only the beloved happening. And that's a huge jump. It's a very huge jump. So there was this woman, wonderful seeker, and she'd been seeking for years and years and years. And she would go to one philosophy and she'd go to another philosophy, and she was steeped in Gnostic Gospels. She knew the Upanishads, the Zen Sutras. She knew the Sufis. She knew New Thought. She knew non-dual philosophies. And every time she would enter one of these areas of interest, she became very excited. And the people that she met were beautiful people. And she was so accepted into this, into the church, into the synagogue, into the mosque, into the zendo, or the ashram. But there came a time when she wanted something more. It was beautiful, but the meal never arrived. And so she would move on to the next. And in that process, and over her 50 years of searching, she came to realize, I haven't found the meal yet. What's wrong? What's going on? And her friend, hearing her, said, I know this one particular guy. Don't go to him. He's a rascal. He will ruin your life. And so she said, well, that's a challenge right there. I'm going. So off she goes. And he listens very patiently and basically said, "You're so full of foolishness. You have wasted your whole life when you already had it at the very beginning. I can't help you. You're beyond help. Just get out of here." And she was very, very offended. Yeah. So she started thinking, what's going on? What's really going on? Maybe he's right. I haven't found what I've been looking for all these years. Maybe there's something more. Maybe I should go back and ask him. So she does. She goes back and says, I've been thinking about what you said. It's distressing, but maybe it's true. Where do I go from here? And he said, you're going to have to unlearn your foolishness. You're going to have to unlearn what you have taken to be true and to start fresh. To start absolutely fresh. I don't know how to do that. And he said, yeah, well, I understand that. Nobody knows how to do it. And so what I'm going to propose to you is that you start in the kitchen and watch how you fight life. Simply watch how you fight life. She said, okay. So she goes and starts in the kitchen. And in the kitchen, she's washing pots and pans. And she hates it. It's hot, it's hard. She goes to sleep in her small bed, which is kind of hard. And she says, this is just hard. I hate this. And she wakes up the next morning and goes and does it again and does it again. And after about a couple weeks of this, she's getting sort of worn down, going, I think I've made a mistake. And this voice sort of says, you going to leave this one too? Why don't you stick it out a little longer? And so she does. And a couple weeks later, what happens is she's going, I don't like this. This pot's heavy. I'm scrubbing it. Who burned this pot? And all of this fight. And she realized, where is this voice coming from? Who is saying this? Who is fighting with life? I'm listening to something that's fighting with life. Maybe there's two of us here. Maybe there's something inside me that I didn't really recognize. And that was the beginning of her awakening. What is this mind? What is this mind that's informing me that I'm not having a good time? That knows I'm not having a good time? If I think my hands are just washing, what's going on here? And so she started exploring. And right about that time, they moved her to vegetables. So now she's chopping vegetables. She's chopping. And this is different. This is fun. Who's saying that this is fun? And she starts exploring that. She starts exploring, what is this now moment? What is chopping vegetables? The act of just moving. And how is the hand moving? And it's all happening, and I'm thinking about it. Do I even need to be thinking about it? Or can I just drop into this moment of now? And after a while, she did. And she discovered the meal. The meal was when she disappeared, the meal was there. And when she was there was no meal. It was just the menu. Her thinking, in a way, prevented the experience of life. As it was, chopping vegetables, listening to the car go by, the purring of the cat. All of what reality is the experience of the moment. Well, lucky for her that she moved far enough, that she no longer was following somebody else's path, but she was blazing her own trail, her own way in the wilderness. And what I would say is that she moved into what I'm going to call pure or true spirituality. True spirituality lives beyond the mind. And I sort of come up with something about it. It's the art of living in a relaxed and genuine manner, where what is known is expressed as kindness, compassion, empathy, and presence. She dropped into actually living from a place of non-doing. In Zen, they call it Wu Wei. Not this, not that. It's just the action of movement. And we know how to move. Especially when a German Shepherd grabs your beloved dog. Something takes us over. We fall into the zone, and movement happens outside of thought. Well, she discovered something. That meal. Now, is she eating the meal all the time? No. Thought's a wonderful thing. But it can be confusing, and it can lead us into a cul-de-sac. So how do we remain fresh? How do we even recognize this fresh, alive moment? When we stop and simply listen, it brings us back. It opens us to where we're available of what is real is only in the moment. Everything else is thought. What's real is what's occurring in the moment. The dog barking, the birds on the wing, the sounds in this room, the pressure, the temperature, all of this. These are the sensations of now. And they're so ordinary, of course we're going to miss them. And if you simply, as you move into meditation, as you enter meditation, there is that moment where sort of nothing is happening and then the mind starts to move. There is that gap of pure nothingness. That's the clue. Can you look into the nothingness and be comfortable with that and with not knowing? That is the essence, in a sense, of what I would say is beyond metaphysics, beyond religion, beyond philosophy. And that's the wilderness. So every religion, all of them, are wonderful paths that lead us to a parking lot. Every one of these philosophies leads us to a parking lot, and that's the trailhead to the wilderness. And from there, we depart alone and unknowing to blaze our own trails. That's the scary part. Why would we want to do that? I haven't wanted to do that for so long. I wanted to hang out in the parking lot and talk to the people and have a tailgate party. And we can talk about when we're going to go out into the wilderness and what we're going to find and all of this. But none of us have known what it is, the wilderness. And if we think of the masters, the 40 days and 40 nights, the going up on the mountain, Buddha sitting under the tree, it's like there's all of these stories of masters leaving the trail, leaving the trailhead and moving off into the wilderness. And so, if whatever philosophy you're holding is leading you into the wilderness, is leading you into the self-inquiry, into the true depths of your being, follow that. And know that there will be a time, perhaps when you depart that also, as you go deeper. And just to finish up, reality is only what is happening in this continuous moment of now. So if we're ever looking for all of that, all of what this is all about, all we need to do is to look at what is happening now without evaluating it, without questioning it, just observing it without adding anything else to it. Let us pray. As we simply breathe together, recognizing the preciousness of this body, of this gift, of this moment. And we know that what is moving this moment, this continuous now, is also moving me and moving everything. I can never be separated from this activity of this moment, which is continuous and never ending. And so we surrender all of the knowledge that does not promote the growth of kindness, love, and generosity. We stop looking at the menu and we start demanding the meal today. And we invite the courage that helps us to blaze the trail in the wilderness so that we come to know our true nature, our magnificence, our union and communion as the beloved. For this I am so, so grateful, so grateful. I bless it, I let it be, and so it is.